honestly, your questions are like hospital passes. They're kind of like impossible to answer questions. Jake, here you go. You're doing it again. You're asking these impossible questions.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Hey, Mr. Statham, how are you, sir? Good to see you again.
Good, mate.
I got a bunch of questions. So I'm just going to jump right in. You know, I genuinely really do love whenever you and Guy Ritchie work together. It's one of my favorite actor and director combinations. When you look back, it's crazy to believe nearly 25 years ago to Lock, Stock, your first film together. What is a lesson you learned as an actor on that movie that you still carry with you today and maybe even used on this film?
He used to say this thing: don't overthink things. Just say the words. Leave the rest to me. You know, and I think there's an authenticity behind that. You know, it seems to work. You know, a lot of the time you just got to put your trust in the director. He knows how to put the jigsaw together. He's already thinking ahead. And I think sometimes actors can tend to sort of try and steer the ship the way that they want it to go. And I think I've seen that, and I've been in the company of that. And it just doesn't work. There's conflict. There's, you know, you've got to let the man steer the ship. And I think Guy is such a tour de force. You know, he writes, he directs, he is the visionary. And you've got to let the guy stick his vision, keep to his roadmap. We have a great time. We have no worries about making a fool of ourselves on camera, because you know he's just going to. He just cuts it out. You know, you have implicit trust.
Well, the final products are a testament to that, because they're absolutely amazing. You know, I know because of the characters you play that you've had to undergo a lot of different types of training, whether it's fight training or learning about different professions or how to shoot a gun. And I'd imagine, I mean, you don't just forget those because the movie's over. I'd imagine you probably still remember a lot of that. What is the coolest thing that you can now do in real life simply because you had to learn how to do it for a role?
I probably drive a car better than most, but you know, most people that don't have the stunt training that I've had. What else? You know,
does that ever kick in whenever you're flying down the freeway? Is there any part of you that kind of just goes like, I know how to really do this?
No, because you just want to keep your license, you know. And we get to do it in a safe environment. So, you know, the best way to screw around is to go to a track. And, you know, you're not going to put anyone in danger. But, you know, when I was a kid, I wasn't so smart. You know, when I was a youth in my teenage years, we used to race each other all the time. I mean, most of the crazy sort of speeding tickets that we didn't get were all in my teenage years. You know, it's I wouldn't promote that as a pastime for anyone.
Fair enough. And as we wrap up, you know, your character really is a really interesting mystery for a large portion of this movie, and people kind of slowly start to see what he's capable of. And at that point, they kind of start acting a little differently around him. As you started gaining success in Hollywood and taking on sort of very intimidating and sort of badass roles, I was curious how that affected people in your life or people on the street, how they behaved around you or maybe even approached you on the street.
You know, it's good and bad. You know, being recognizable is good and bad. So, you know, sometimes you don't want the attention, and you want to try and get your dry cleaning or you do a normal thing. But you know, I recognize it's you know, what we do is a thing that people get to enjoy. They go to the cinemas and they get to have some fun and escape, and you know, people like to come up and say hello. And so, you know, it's just getting used to navigating at what point you can have a normal life or a public life. Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, Mr. Statham, seriously, it's always a pleasure chatting with you, man. I really hope you and your family are doing well, and hopefully next time we chat is in person.
Yes, me too. Thank
All
you.
right, man. Take care. Bye, guys. Ritchie, good to see you again, sir. Seriously, congratulations on this. I'm such a huge fan. I got a bunch of questions for you, so I'm going to jump right in. When a director makes a movie about a doctor, they'll oftentimes seek out doctors to get feedback. When you make a movie about lawyers, you try to find a lawyer to get some feedback from. As a director who oftentimes makes movies about criminals, what's the most interesting feedback you've ever gotten from anyone in that lifestyle?
Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to satisfy or be able to scratch the itch, but on this one, funny enough, it wasn't the criminals we were so much interested in, rather than the ex-cash truck men. So we did meet a few of those, and it's quite a story, by the way. The whole how much money they move around with. Is this kind of a bigger deal than we thought it was. So it was the shock of finding out how much cash moved. By the way, I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to be sharing this with the world, but
it's just you and me talking.
So just you and I. But yeah, I mean, when you find out how much cash moves around in those things, then you wonder why there isn't more trouble in that weak link. Because money has to go to places, but there we go. That was the most edifying piece of information that I discovered, was the amounts of money that you're talking about.
It's fascinating. I am absolutely in love with the characters you write, and sort of these days we're getting a lot of different cinematic universes with different characters from different movies meeting up. And honestly, I would love to see the Guy Ritchie cinematic universe. If you could have two of your characters from two different movies meet and go toe to toe in one scene, who would you be most interested in putting together to see how they interact?
Honestly, your questions are like hospital passes. They're kind of like impossible to answer questions.
I'm trying to, it's a long junket day. I'm trying to throw some stuff at you haven't heard before.
It'd be Jasmine meets Jason Statham in this movie. See how that works out.
Oh, right now Disney is going, oh God, no, please don't. I would pay big money to see that, though. But speaking of some of your past films, I know this film is kind of loosely based on a 2004 French film called Cash Truck, and I was sort of curious, thinking about your films and how unique they are to you. If you could see one of your films remade by another filmmaker, which one would you be curious to see how another director might interpret it?
Jake, here you go. You're doing it again. You're asking these impossible questions. No, I think the thing is that directors, what you're after is after unique challenges. I mean, because I hadn't touched this genre before, which is a sort of heist / revenge movie, which is uniquely dark, that I was really attracted to it for that reason. Like I was, I suppose, for Aladdin, that I hadn't got anywhere near that territory before, so I thought it might make refreshing sense from a creative point of view to have a stab at something that was completely unique.
Fair enough. Well, they're giving me the wrap really quick before I let you go. Any chance you would give me a Guy Ritchie nickname? Because I love all the nicknames your characters have.
Jake the Snake. See you later, old boy.
Oh, there we go. All right, that's what I'm talking about. All right, talk to you later.
See you now.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.